The 15th edition of the Jaipur Literature Festival, and we are here at the Bank of Baroda Mughal tent. This is Vani Foundation Distinguished Translator Award 2022. Vani Prakashan Group and Teamwork Arts Private Limited present Vani Foundation Distinguished Translator Award. The award honors those translators of India who have consistently and qualitatively facilitated literary and linguistic exchange between at least two Indian languages. Can I please call upon Aditi Maheshwari to take over? Aditi.
नमस्कार। छठे गणमान्य वाणी फाउंडेशन पुरस्कार में आप सभी का स्वागत है। पुरस्कार के इतिहास के बारे में आपको कुछ बताना चाहते हैं, उसके लिए एक छोटी सी एवी तैयार की है, कृपया एवी देखें। I welcome you all to the 6th Vani Foundation Distinguished Translator Award. Vani Foundation and Teamwork Arts present the Vani Foundation Distinguished Translator Award each year at the prestigious Jaipur BookMark. The award honors those translators of Indian nationality who have consistently been contributing towards exchange in Indian and at least one Indian or international language. This award was deemed necessary in light of lack of present initiatives to encourage direct exchange between Indian and international languages. I request our jury, Namita Gokhale ji, to please join us on stage. The chief guest of the afternoon, Shri Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Chairman of Vani Foundation, Shri Arun Maheshwari, and a huge round of applause for Shri Arunava Sinha, who is receiving the award for his unparalleled contribution towards translation of contemporary, modern, and classic Bangla literature. Please join us on stage. Arunavada, you should join us. Please, please. Namaskar. Arunava Sinha has translated classic, modern, and contemporary Bengali fiction and non-fiction into English language. About 79 translation works have been published by him so far. Please give him a huge round of applause. This is an amazing body of work. He was also known for Shankar Ki Chaurangi and Anita Agnihotri's 17. He's received the Crossword Translation Award twice. Arunava Sinha has also been the winner of the Museum India Translation Award in 2013 for Buddhadev Bose's When the Time is Right. In 2009, he was selected for the Independent Foreign Fiction Award for translation of Shankar Ki Chaurangi, and in 2021 for the National Translation Award for Taslima Nasreen's book Besharam. And for the Global Literature in Libraries Initiative Translation Young Adult Book Prize for his translation of Muhammad Zafar Iqbal's Rasha, and longlisted for Best Translated Book Award, United States of America in 2018 for his translation of Bhaskar Chakravarti's Things That Happen and Other Poems. Apart from India, his translations have been published in the English language in the UK and US, and his translations are to be published in many European and Asian countries in the future. At present, Arunava Sinha is an associate professor at the Department of Creative Writing at Ashoka University and co-director of the Ashoka Center of Translation. It's such an honor to have you with us, Arunava Sinha ji. I request our senior jury member, Namita Gokhale ji, to please say a few words about the award.
Thank you all for being here. It's a joy and a privilege to be at Jaipur for the Vani Foundation Distinguished Translator Award 2022 and to have been associated with the prize since its inception. This prize has changed the way people look at translation, the way all the prizes which give platforms and visibility to the invisible heroes. I can see some, and heroines. I can see a translator nodding in the front row. These are very, very important. Aditi Maheshwari is a friend and a colleague for whom I have the utmost respect. She brings passion, commitment, and understanding to Hindi publishing and to the larger template of South Asian publishing. Arun Maheshwari ji and Aditi have led the Vani Foundation and Vani Prakashan to new visions and new horizons. They are always seeking activities that will make breakthroughs in how we approach the translation project. As for Arunava Sinha, I can't stop smiling at our choice for the award. He's here to receive the award for 2022. I'm totally at a loss for words when I consider the instinctive, intuitive, inspired, and also focused, painstaking, unremitting, so many adjectives, devotion he brings to the act of translation. He is the memory keeper of Bangla literature and has translated over 70 works from classic and contemporary Bangla. That is 70 books, and some of them are really fat books, important books, seminal books. How does he do it? I'm convinced there's magic and mystery behind the whole process, or he has a secret workshop of elves and little things, creatures that come out at night and do the translation, or else the next big Google translation project has hired him as an outlier and outrunner, and he is going to be a billionaire soon on whatever he does with translation. There is so much to be done in the field of literary translation in the subcontinent. And I know that Arunava Sinha's nuanced transmutations will bring the many languages and one literature of India to a new level of perception and of self-awareness. I would also like to congratulate him on this very important new initiative of the Ashoka Center for Translation, where he is the co-director with Rita Kothari, who herself is a previous winner of the Vani Foundation Distinguished Translator Award and shares his talent and his commitment to translation. Thank you, Arunava Sinha ji. Clap, tali, cue. Aditi, Arunji, Sundeep ji, Neeta, who are on the jury, and Shashi, who generously always shares his time for any literary initiatives. Thank you.
I now request author, parliamentarian, friends of book, Dr. Tharoor, who is very kindly permitted some time for this beautiful ceremony today, to give away the award. I request our venue manager to please help us. Dr. Tharoor. We are thoroughly missing our jury, Sandeep Bhutoria ji and Neeta Gupta ji. but they've sent their best wishes to Arunava. Words on this occasion.
Thank you very much, Aditi. Aditi is my Hindi publisher, so when she requested that I take on the great privilege of handing over this marvelous looking trophy and prize to Arunava Sinha, I was delighted to accept. Actually, I think one of the more remarkable and under-analyzed developments of this revolution in Indian writing we've seen in the last 30 years or 40 years has been the incredible improvement in the quality of translation. I remember growing up in India, I was always a fierce little nationalist, wanting to read more books by Indian authors. And what consistently tripped me up was the appalling quality of most of the translations. I don't know how many of you here are old enough to remember those rather shoddily produced paperbacks of the great Indian classics from when, I remember when Chimeen won the National Film Award, I wanted to read the book and there was a translation into English and it was unreadable. And the same with pretty much every other major classic, including, I'm sorry to say, some of the works of Rabindranath Tagore and others were not rendered in a way that anyone who is comfortable reading in another language would relate to. In fact, to my mind, I developed such a negative feeling about most of these translations that once when I was writing a rather negative review of an Indian author in English, I don't usually do that, I'm normally full of praise, but I once wrote, "This text reads like a translation," and that was not meant to be a compliment. So the lack of immediacy, the lack of fluency, the challenges in rendering the cultural assumptions behind one language into another cannot be underestimated. It's no easy task. And that's why you saw me looking with astonishment when Namita announced that Arunava had actually translated 70 books, because to my mind, the task of translating 70 books seems to me almost as bad as writing 50 from scratch, and probably in some ways more difficult, because whereas when you write your own book, you can write pretty much what comes into your head, here you are confined by the words chosen by the original author in his language or her language. You are confined by the kind of cultural assumptions in that text, the play on words, if any, the rhyme, rhythm, music of the language that you somehow have to replicate in a different language. And this is why it's so difficult to do. In fact, there's a lovely Italian expression that I heard some years ago about translation, which says traduttore traditore, which literally means to translate is to betray. Because you cannot, according to that expression, ever be totally faithful to the original, simply because the only authentic version of the original is that which is expressed in the original language. And so translation has to strike a balance between being faithful to the original and being accessible to the reader of the language into which you are translating. And I think it's a valuable recognition of these challenges that has led the Vani Foundation to institute a prize that I think we can already say is a prestigious prize for translators, so that people will recognize that theirs is no small effort, that it requires recognition and reward, and that a good prize that they will consider worth having and worth striving for is certainly an adequate compensation, in part anyway, for the huge burden they've taken on in translating. Today, I'm glad to say there's so much more good translation coming out that there is no longer any excuse for today's equivalent of the little boy me to not read the best novels coming out in Tamil, in Kannada, in Bengali, in Bangla, in Marathi, in Malayalam, and so on. In fact, in the course of the last year, I have seen and acquired and have almost entirely read 4 excellent novels in Malayalam that have been rendered very capably by different translators into English. 2 of which, in fact, I discovered were nominated for the JCB Foundation Prize as translated works. Delhi by Mr. M. Mukundan, which won the prize, and The Man Who Learned to Fly But Could Not Land by Tacham Rajivan, which is at the moment, I think it was on the long list, but didn't make it to the final cut. And then there's Moustache, which was doing very well. The Cock is the Culprit by Arunava. And when I realized that as a Malayali myself, but one who grew up outside Kerala and was never educated in the Malayalam language and needed to be comfortable reading in English, I was now blessed in a way that I hadn't been in my deprived childhood, because I could actually have access to the literature and really the highly regarded and recent literature of a thriving literary culture in my home state. So whether you are an expatriate from a sort of a deracinated belonger to one state, or someone who is curious about another culture within our country, but unfamiliar with the language, translations of high quality now exist. They're coming out from a wide variety of publishers. I think it's very impressive that before Westland went under, though there's still some hope of it coming back to life, that Westland also had opened an imprint just for translation, I think called Eka, if I remember right. And the fact that translated books were seen as having a market is such an important consideration in today's dog-eat-dog, money-cut-money culture, that if a publisher feels that enough people can be persuaded to buy translated books, that they can make a business of it, that's already a very good sign that the market is changing, that readers are buying, but above all, that readers are willing to read because the quality of what is being produced is so much better. With those words, I just want to thank Aditi and Vani for having done this, for having instituted the prize. I want to congratulate Arunava Sinha for his amazing accomplishments, 70 books, including the one for which he has now won this prize. And of course, to Namita Gokhale for her very kind words and very thoughtful words about the worth of all this. I must say that the jury has clearly recognized somebody who's widely seen as one of the most distinguished and accomplished translators around. And I really hope that each year, Vani, by the way, does not confine itself in terms of language. So it's, if I understand correctly, Vani, it's translation from any language into any language, any Indian language into any language read in India. So English qualifies, right? And that is something which I think is amazing. So I'm looking forward to more entries coming in, more books being offered for consideration, and a greater impetus to translated writings in the years to come. Thank you all very much. Congratulations, Arunava. Jai Hind.
One of the esteemed jury members, Sri Sundeep Bhutoria, has shared his note. He could not join us in person today, but he says that it is a proud privilege to be a part of the jury of the Vani Foundation Distinguished Translator Award 2022, as they consistently work with promoting Indian languages and honor those translators who facilitated literary and linguistic exchange between Indian languages. Arunava Sinha, this year's awardee, has translated classic, modern, and contemporary Bengali fiction into English, and by doing so, he has forged a link between languages and culture. As someone who also works in promoting Indian languages, we believe in Apni Bhasha, Apne Log, which is the logo of Prabha Khetan Foundation, which also happens to be the tagline of the foundation. That celebrates the confluence of India's diverse languages, literature, and culture. Our jury member, Neeta Gupta, who's a publishing consultant of Indian languages, says that the word prolific falls short when you are speaking of a translator with Arunava Sinha's Ouva. I cannot think of another person who has single-handedly contributed as much to the world of literary translation as he has. So ladies and gentlemen, we have the man of the hour, Arunava, with us. But before I invite you, Arunava, I would like to get Sanjoy sir on stage to say a few words about the 6th edition of Vani Foundation Distinguished Translator Award. Huge round of applause to Sanjoy Roy.
Thank you so much, Aditi. Translation is vital because it allows us to hear the stories that we wouldn't otherwise be able to hear. Over 2020 and 2021, Namita created a series called JLF Words Are Bridges so that we could look at translations in a far more authentic way and explore the stories across languages, both in India and across the world. This particular award for us is something very close to our heart. Much of the work that we would like to do is find opportunities and platforms to bring to you, our audiences, both here as well as all of those of you in your large numbers who are viewing us across the world, give you a sense of what is available in and across different languages. Arunava has been, I think, one of our most spectacular translators. He's been a regular at the festival, and all our congratulations and best wishes. What he's been able to do is really take translation to a different level. I remember when we started the festival 15 years ago, one of the things that we used to look at is, why isn't there good translation? And one of the things we wanted to do is ensure that over the years, we were able to engender or create a platform where translators came to the fore and were recognized for this all-important work across Indian languages, as well as languages across the world. So Vani Prakashan Foundation, Aditi, congratulations. Arunava, of course, big hug. Shashi, thank you so much for being here.
Now, the most awaited part of the afternoon, the awardee himself, Arunava Sinha.
Translators should stay where they belong, which is among writers and publishers. I am very grateful and overwhelmed really by this award from Vani Foundation, and a big thank you to the members of the jury. And I cannot speak enough for the support that we translators have received from Namita, Gokhale and Sanjay Rai over the years and right through. If it hadn't been for them, I don't think translation would have been as central to the Jaipur Literature Festival as it is. I accept this on behalf of all translators who have come before me, who are with me, who will come after me. Translation really is the language of democracy. It ensures that all voices are heard. And perhaps there is no time more important than now, voice from every part of the country is heard. A big thank you to all my publishers and editors who have supported our work over the years. And while I would like to mention all of them and name all of them, I can only name one because she is the person who started me off on this journey. So a big thank you to Diya Kaur, who published Shankar's translation of Chorangi at Penguin all of 15 years ago. Wow. And thank you to everybody once again. I just hope this isn't a kind of lifetime achievement award that means I should stop. But I just want to end by saying যে বাংলা ভাষার আর বাংলা সাহিত্যের প্রতি আমার কৃতজ্ঞ, আমার ভালোবাসা, আমার শ্রদ্ধা সারা জীবন থাকবে। My respect, my gratitude and my love for the Bangla language and its literature will always be there. Thank you everyone once again.
Thank you. I request Shri Arun Maheshwari, Chairman of Vani Foundation, to say a few words.
धन्यवाद। सबसे पहले अरुणावा सिन्हा जी को हार्दिक बधाई। उपस्थित सभी मित्रों, विशिष्ट अनुवाद पुरस्कार का यह छठा संस्करण है। इससे पूर्व 5 सम्मान मलयालम कवि अत्तूर रवि वर्मा को मलयालम से तमिल भाषा के लिए, प्रख्यात लेखिका अनुवादिका आलोचक अनामिका जी को भोजपुरी से हिंदी के लिए, संस्कृति इतिहासज्ञ और अनुवादक डॉक्टर रीता कोठारी को सिंधी से अंग्रेजी भाषा के लिए, प्रख्यात कवि व कलाकार अनुवादक तेजी ग्रोवर को भारतीय और विश्व भाषाओं के लिए, और वरिष्ठ समालोचक रक्षंदा जलील को उर्दू अंग्रेजी से हिंदी भाषा के लिए दिया गया है। विचारों को एक भाषा से दूसरी भाषा में रूपांतरित करना अनुवाद है। अनुवाद सांस्कृतिक, सामाजिक और राजनीतिक संबंध बनाने की प्रक्रिया है। यह प्रक्रिया जितना भाषाई ज्ञान और तकनीकी कौशल मांगती है, उससे कहीं अधिक हार्दिकता, मानवीय मन की समझ और लगातार अभ्यास मांगती है। यह छठा सम्मान श्री अरुणावा सिन्हा जी को प्रदान करते हुए वाणी फाउंडेशन टीम वर्क आर्ट जयपुर बुकमार्क प्रसन्नता अनुभव करता है। निर्णायक जूरी प्रसिद्ध विद्वान नमिता गोखले, नीता गुप्ता जी और सांस्कृतिक आलोचक श्री संदीप भुतोरिया जी इस जूरी में रहे। मैं आप सभी निर्णायकों का तहे दिल से शुक्रिया करता हूं कि आपने परिश्रम से हमें समय दिया। और भाषाई विविधता के पर्याय और भारतीय संसद के पुस्तकों के हित में, संसद में पुस्तकों हित में अपने बयान देने वाले श्री शशि थरूर जी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। आपने हमें समय दिया, हम आपके बहुत आभारी हैं। डॉक्टर शशि थरूर जी की 2 पुस्तकें वाणी प्रकाशन से प्रकाशित हैं, अंधकार काल, भारत में ब्रिटिश शासन, और मैं हिंदू क्यों हूँ। अब तीसरी पुस्तक अस्मिता का संघर्ष शीघ्र प्रकाश्य है, और मैं आप सभी का धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूँ कि आप सब आए, आपने समय दिया और कार्यक्रम की शोभा बढ़ाई। बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much. With this, we close the ceremony of Vani Foundation Distinguished Translator Award. Thank you, Dr. Tharoor. Thank you, Namita ji. Thank you, Sanjoy sir. Thank you, Arunavada. Thank you, Arun ji. Thank you so much.